I have a special guest with me this morning. Special guest, would you like to introduce yourself? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes.
All right, tell them your name.
My name is Dallas.
That's right, in Dallas. Last Sunday, we learned about Abraham and Sarah. This Sunday, who are we learning about?
Abraham and Isaac.
That's right, Abraham and Isaac. So let's dive right into our Bible lesson. In our Bible lesson today, we'll be learning about Abraham and Isaac, as Dallas already shared with us. We're going to be learning about Abraham's sacrifice. But before we learn about his sacrifice, I want you to think about something that you value. Maybe it's a toy. Maybe it's a picture that you value. Maybe it's a project that you've worked on in school. Maybe it's your mom and your dad. Now I want you to think to yourself and imagine that one thing being destroyed. What do you think that would feel like? Some of us probably would lose our minds if the one thing that we thought about was destroyed. In our Bible lesson, we're going to learn of Abraham's sacrifice. And we're going to see what happens when God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac. Join me in watching what happens in our Bible story. Genesis, the 22nd chapter, 1st through the 14th verses. After these things, God tested Abraham's faith. God said to him, "Abraham," and he answered, "Here I am." Then God said, "Take your only son Isaac, the son you love. Go to the land of Moriah. There kill him and offer him as a whole burnt offering. Do this on one of the mountains there. I will tell you which one." Early in the morning, Abraham got up and saddled his donkey. He took Isaac and 2 servants with him. He cut the wood for the sacrifice. Then they went to the place God had told them to go. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. He said to his servants, "Stay here with the donkey. My son and I will go over there and worship. Then we will come back to you." Abraham took the wood for the sacrifice and gave it to his son to carry. Abraham took the knife and the fire. So Abraham and his son went on together. Isaac said to his father Abraham, "Father." Abraham answered, "Yes, my son." Isaac said, "We have the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb we will burn as the sacrifice?" Abraham answered, "God will give us the lamb for the sacrifice, my son." So Abraham and his son went on together. They came to the place God had told them about. There, Abraham built an altar. He laid the wood on it. Then he tied up his son Isaac, and he laid Isaac on the wood on the altar. Then Abraham took his knife and was about to kill his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven. The angel said, "Abraham, Abraham." Abraham answered, "Yes." The angel said, "Don't kill your son or hurt him in any way. Now I can see that you respect God. I see that you have not kept your only son, from me." Then Abraham looked up and saw a male sheep. Its horns were caught in a bush. So Abraham went and took the sheep and killed it. He offered it as a whole burnt offering to God. Abraham's son was saved. So Abraham named the place "The Lord Gives." Even today, people say, "On the mountain of the Lord it will be given."
Sometime after these things, God tested Abraham. He said to him, "Abraham." "Here I am," Abraham replied. God said, "Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah. Offer him up there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I will indicate to you." Early in the morning, Abraham got up and saddled his donkey. He took 2 of his young servants with him, along with his son Isaac. When he had cut the wood for the burnt offering, he started out for the place God had spoken to him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham caught sight of the place in the distance. So he said to his servants, "You two stay here with the donkey, while the boy and I go up there. We will worship and then return to you." Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and put it on his son Isaac. Then he took the fire and the knife in his hand, and the two of them walked on together. Isaac said to his father Abraham, "My father." "What is it, my son?" he replied. "Here is the fire and the wood," Isaac said. "But where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" "God will provide for himself the lamb for the burnt offering, my son," Abraham replied. The two of them continued on together. When they came to the place where God had told him about, Abraham built the altar there and arranged the wood on it. Next, he tied up his son Isaac and placed him on the altar on top of the wood. Then Abraham reached out his hand, took the knife, and prepared to slaughter his son. But the Lord's angel called to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." "Here I am," he answered. "Do not harm the boy," the angel said. "Do not do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, because you did not withhold your son, your only son, from me." Abraham looked up and saw behind him a ram caught in the bushes by its horns. So he went over and got the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place, "The Lord Provides." It is said to this day, "In the mountain of the Lord provision will be made." The Lord's angel called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, "I solemnly swear by my own name, decrees the Lord, that because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will indeed bless you, and I will greatly multiply your descendants, so that they will be as countless as the stars in the sky, or the grains of sand on the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the strongholds of their enemies. Because you have obeyed me, all the nations of the earth will pronounce blessings on one another, using the name of your descendants."
Whew! I don't know about you, but every time I read that Bible story, I'm always amazed that Abraham was willing to sacrifice his son Isaac. The son that we know that him and Sarah prayed and longed for, that we learned about in our last week's lesson. That just goes to show us that God loved Abraham just as much as Abraham loved his son Isaac. God was asking Abraham if he was willing to sacrifice his son whom he loved so much, just as he had done. Are we willing to sacrifice the things that we value? Are we willing to be like God? That's definitely something for us to think about this week. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you next Sunday. Now we're going to be led in prayer by Dallas.
Thank you for your presence and Isaac. Thank you, Lord, for food. Amen. The best everybody, our family and friends, keep us